Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another week's edition of Tim's News Explosion on this Monday, the 20th of June, 2022. We are live on the Wilmsfront YouTube, DLive and Odyssey channels, as well as the interactive entropy software. You can ask me a direct question, or even better yet, send through a super chat to support the show. Hello to all of the regulars in the chat, Hadron there, Brucey, and also on their alt account, Kesho. What happened to the bearded one on Friday? Yes, as I said to you, Due's been struck down by the flu. It's not COVID or monkeypox. He is still yet to recover, so he won't be joining me tomorrow night. So for the Makeup Trad Tasman talk, it'll be Stephen Berry, and no, he doesn't have monkeypox. He's very healthy at the moment. It is 8:30 p.m. here in Melbourne, Victoria, where our Senate results from the federal election which were declared by the Australian Electoral Commission this morning. They have a supercomputer which they feed in all the ballots and all the preferences to, and then hit a button which generates the 6 senators who are elected for 6-year terms. This is from Anthony Green's election blog. So re-elected at number 1, Sarah Henderson of the Liberal Party. Then a new Labor Senator, Linda White. Re-elected Bridget McKenzie from the National Party. Yana Stewart, another new Labor Senator. And well, it was predicted, but it's still unbearable. Lydia Thorpe, re-elected from the Greens, but at number 6, the United Australia Party's Ralph Babet has been elected, defeating the Liberals' Greg Mirabella, who is the husband of former Liberal MP Sophie Mirabella. So, United Australia Party, a lot of people predicted that if they were going to win a Senate seat anywhere, it would be in Victoria, and it's official. So this calls for a celebration.
And that's my kind of party, the United Australia Party. Yeah, that's my kind of party, the United Australia Party.
Yes. And it was this isn't just a victory for the United Australia Party. If I go back to, this is from Anthony Green's election blog, he's got the breakdown here of the Senate distribution. There was a lot of speculation. Would the Freedom voters in Victoria, would they be disciplined in their preferences? So if their preferred Freedom candidate didn't get up, would they preference the other Freedom parties? And the answer is yes. Because if you have a look at the raw votes here for the United Australia Party, only 4.1% there, and you need 14.3% for a quota. But as you can see here, especially with the exclusion of David Limbrick from the Liberal Democrats, and Warren Pickering from the One Nation Party was able to easily leapfrog both the ALP third candidate and also Greg Marabella there. And Pauline Hanson was re-elected as a senator for Queensland, thanks to UAP preferences from Clive Palmer, who was running as the candidate up there. So both the election of Ralph Babet in Victoria and the re-election of Pauline Hanson up in Queensland, they're victories for the broader freedom movement, and it shows that there was enough of a freedom vote in Victoria and Queensland to get Pauline Hanson and Ralph Babet over the line. But unfortunately, nice dancing, buddy. Yeah, well, it's probably the most catchy election jingles of all time. That's my kind of party. It goes for 4 minutes. That was nice of Clive. Yes, it was. So I know that there has been a lot of mockery of, oh, Clive, you spent 100 million but only got one senator. But those sorts of people, they're still on the inside very salty and triggered that especially Victoria elected a United Australia Party senator. They'd prefer 0. But yes, Clive, he helped re-elect Pauline Hanson and got a senator up in Victoria. And it wasn't just the money, but it was also the grassroots effort that United Australia Party had all around Australia that helped increase the vote and get Ralph Babet up in Victoria. Andy Nolch, you saw him on election night. He was with his UAP gear. He'd been out on the polls that day. Perhaps Clive had too many of Pauline's fried fish and chips. Well, what is it? I'm sure Clive, he enjoys all sorts of Australian delicacies. But the sad reality is that the Australian left will have a working majority in the Senate. So Labor has 26 senators, the Greens have 12. And so that makes 38 out of 56. And David Pocock, the former rugby union wallaby, elected as an independent in the ACT. He's described as a teal, but he's pretty much a green in his ideology. So Labor Greens plus David Pocock, that's 39 out of 76. So Labor has a majority in the lower house, and they can get Labor and David Pocock 39 in the Senate. Or the other route to passing their legislation is if the coalition agrees. They've got 32 senators now. There's obviously One Nation. Jackie Lambie's got a mate in the Senate now in Tammy Tyrrell. And then there is obviously Ralph Babet as well on the crossbench as well. This Saturday in Victoria, it was announced this past Saturday. So coming in, well, the technical time. So what is it? On from 11:59 p.m. on Friday, the 24th of June, the vaccine mandates will finally come off for most workers, but the triple jab mandate will still apply to workers in healthcare, age and disability care, emergency and custodial services. That includes police, but teachers in Victoria will, who are unjabbed, will now be able to go back to the classroom. For some of those Victorians who chose for their own health and personal reasons to get jabbed, this is also a psychological warfare win against Dan Andrews, as of course he vowed this last year when he was talking about how long the jab mandates would last.
I'm not going to say to someone, oh, look, just wait us out, will you? Just wait 4 or 5 weeks and then you'll be able to go to the pub. No, if you make the judgment to not get vaccinated and you reckon you can wait out us or the publican or whoever you want to think you're waiting out, you won't wait out the virus, because the virus will be here for a long time.
Well, Dan was right that the virus, obviously, it's still with us, but it's infecting both the jabbed and unjabbed there. So I know people both jabbed and unjabbed who've had COVID, and they've all made a full recovery. Mel Ann, one of the freedom activists in Melbourne, she tweeted, "Dan said the unvaccinated can't just sit around and wait this thing out. Guess what, arsehole? We absolutely can, and we did. Go fuck yourself." Blair Cottrell on Gab had a different point of view. He said that people had been congratulating him for waiting it out. He says he didn't wait anything out. Waiting it out implies that I took at least part of the story seriously, which I didn't. I never read any of Andrew's press releases. To me, there was never any pandemic. There was never a vax mandate, and it was all just words coming from the TV. Words on a screen, words on a paper. I never read or listened to any of it. So yes, the passports, they went a couple of months back, and now most of the mandates have gone. Now, the masks at airports, so you don't have to wear masks in the airport terminals and like at the, what is it, those cafes and those luggage and travel things at the airport, but you still have to wear them on the planes and, of course, public transport and age and in hospitals. Though in all the other states and territories, you don't have to wear them at the airport, but for some reason in Victoria, you have to wait at Melbourne Airport until next Saturday to take off, because of course the science has always been a bit different in Victoria, as we've come to know. Now, going over to the United States, and obviously I had Nick Holt on last Thursday on Wilmsfront to talk about the January 6th resurrection show. But on Thursday evening, US time, there was the late insurrections show with Stephen Colbert. So there was 7 members of his production team who were arrested at the US Capitol after hours on Thursday night without an escort or with proper credentials. So it says that approximately at 8:30 p.m. on June 16th, 2022, US Capitol Police received a call from a disturbance in the Longwarry House office building. Responding officers observed 7 individuals unescorted and without congressional ID. And so they were charged with unlawful entry. This is an active in criminal investigation, which may result in additional criminal charges after consultation with the U.S. attorney there. So yes, this is by the Democrats and the mainstream media's definition an insurrection. I'll let Tucker Carlson explain it better than probably I can.
This is almost beyond belief, but just before this show aired, we learned that last night, producers for Stephen Colbert's show on CBS committed insurrection at the United States Capitol. Adam Schiff, the congressman from California, who has spent the last year and a half telling you that unauthorized violations of Capitol space are a coup, Adam Schiff illegally gave producers from CBS access to the Capitol. And then the group, which includes the show's senior producer, a director, a comedian, and a writer, remained in the Longworth House office building after hours. And the point of them being there was for them to harass sitting members of Congress. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert. U.S. Capitol Police say they got a call about a disturbance at about 8:30 p.m. They told us, quote, responding officers observed 7 individuals unescorted and without congressional ID in a 6th-floor hallway. Officers then arrested them and charged them with unlawful entry into the Capitol complex. Now, that's the exact same charge that many January 6th defendants face. We'll just get right to it. It is likely that some members of Stephen Colbert's team will be held in solitary confinement for a year and a half without being charged. Why? Because this is an insurrection. And actually, joking aside, How could they not be held for a year and a half in solitary confinement without being charged? Because the precedent is in place. And how in the world can Adam Schiff, again, who spent the last year and a half eliminating the civil liberties of Trump voters on the basis of January 6th, do the exact same thing and not face punishment? We're going to tell jokes about, oh, it's like Pearl Harbor. No, it's exactly like what happened on January 6th. So we'll take a close look at what the punishments are. Liz Cheney, call your office. You've got another committee to impanel. Adam Kinziger's crying at the thought. We'll stay on the story.
So June 16th, 2022, a day that will live in infamy in the history of the United States. This is probably up there with Watergate. The Watergate break-in into the Democratic National Committee headquarters happened almost 50 years to the exact time that Colbert's producers were illegally inside the Capitol. It happened on just after a bit after midnight, June 17th, 1972, the Watergate break-in. And how do we know that the Colbert production team? This is why there needs to be a full investigation, because they were, banging on the doors of the House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and MAGA Republican Congresswoman Lauren Babet. How do we know that they weren't doing what the Watergate burglars were trying to do, such as wiretapping? I mean, could this have been some operation to wiretap Lauren Babet's office in hope that they could get her on tape confessing that she'd had 2 abortions and used to work as a prostitute? These are the things that need to be investigated by a June 16th a commission, or at least a House subcommittee there. So we need to get to the bottom of this. CBS, which is the network that the Late Show airs on, actually had a Watergate special on Friday night that aired. Little did they know that their Late Show production team was committing a similar style illegal entry into a government building there. Now, of course, with the Watergate break-in, it went all the way up to the White House. President Richard Nixon resigned in 1974. How do we know that? Because it was Adam Schiff that let in the Colbert production team. How do we know that this doesn't go all the way to the White House and Joe Biden, Colbertgate? I mean, this is why we need further investigation. And I wonder if the Washington Post will they uncover this, have a deep throat, or they're probably that name deep throat is very inappropriate these days. And now Joe Biden to, well, perhaps get away from the Colbertgate scandal. He is on a weekend away, an anniversary weekend with his wife, Jill. And obviously things are going off wheels. The wheels have come off the Biden administration with inflation and obviously all the other shortages that are going on in the US. But Joe Biden's wheels literally came down when he was cycling.
Mr. President, Dr. Biden, how was your anniversary?
Now Biden was stationary, like his bike had pulled up, and then he just fell sideways on the ground there. He's a Lady of Charlotte says he's a senile vegetable. He probably needs training wheels next time that he goes bicycle riding. Now he's okay, which is good because, we don't want President Kamala Harris. But in all seriousness, we shouldn't joke about this because this is a bullying a poor old man, and Kamala Harris herself is overseeing the Ministry of Truth 2.0. This is what Rod Lampard has called it over at Cauldron Pool. So we have here that the Biden White House is committing to better understanding and addressing the nexus between online misogyny and radicalization to violence, announcing a joint task force to fight against what the White House called online harassment and abuse. Vice President Kamala Harris preached a 1,600-word intersectionality sermon in which she repeated White House talking points and talked up her own achievements, which there aren't many. So yes, what is that? We have already have this type of Ministry of Truth in Australia with our e-safety commissioner, and what was it? The re-elected Morrison government wanted to empower the e-safety commissioner to force social media companies to take down more misinformation. Lady of Shell, look out for incels everywhere. Yes. I mean, just look at Andy Nolch. Like, starts off with anti-feminism, then spray painting a giant penis on a field next to a murder and rape victim memorial there. Now, the boat people, the people smugglers, I should say, they're testing the new Albanese government. So the fourth illegal boat that has attempted to get to Australia's shores from Sri Lanka was turned around, and they were put back to Christmas Island and then on a plane back to Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is broke with food and fuel shortages. So there's probably going to be many Sri Lankans, both Tamil and Sinhalese, who are probably going to try and flee Sri Lanka. But so far, the Anil government is holding its nerve and turning these boats around. The new Home Affairs Minister, Claire O'Neill, has arrived in Sri Lanka to talk about to prevent these people trying to get to Australia in the first place. But over in the UK, the illegal boat arrivals, they've never been stopped. Well, the UK government, they've come up with a proposition to deter illegal boat arrivals. They're called not boat people there, but dinky divers, and they get put up in 5-star hotels in the UK for free at the UK taxpayer expenses, and the people who the local UK people who pay a lot of money to be in these 5-star hotels, they all of a sudden they see that there's all of these middle-aged working men who've just got off a boat in the English Channel. They're all of a sudden sharing the hotel complex with them. So the Johnson government and the Home Secretary Priti Patel, they proposed a Rwandan solution. Obviously, in Australia, under John Howard's prime ministership, stopping the boats was achieved with what was called the Pacific solution, with offshore processing. Lady of Charlotte says all the hotels in the UK are booked up for months in advance. And what is that? Mad Pyman says Bono and Bojo found friends in Ukraine. Yeah, there's always always time for a stop off any leader to go in Ukraine with Zelensky. Now there was the first plane to resettle illegal dinky divers in the UK to Rwanda. It was about to jet set off to Rwanda. I don't know why they chose Rwanda. It's not like it's it's pretty far away. But what happened was that the European Court of Human Rights, there was a last-minute ruling by a lone out-of-hours duty judge who struck this down. That said that it violated, what is it, Article 8 of the European Covenant of Human Rights to a family or private life. And now Nigel Farage made a video, which because a lot of UK people are perplexed. Like, how is this possible? Didn't we leave the European Union? But this European Court of Human Rights and European Covenant of Human Rights, it's actually administered by another European body called the Council for Europe, which the UK is still part of. The Brexit referendum was to get out of the European Union, not the Council for Europe. So the Justice Secretary Dominic Raab, he's proposed a British Bill of Rights to give British courts greater powers to limit interventions by European judges, or you could just leave the Council for Europe. So it's aimed to restrict this Article 8 there. No doubt when this is passed, there'll be another European Court challenge, and we'll see what happens then. Though it's pretty difficult for any UK resident to fly out of the UK for a summer holiday because of the baggage backlog at airports. This is the baggage backlog at Heathrow Airport. See, no one's going anywhere. We've got school holidays starting in Australia at week's end. Qantas, Alan Joyce, CEO, has said that we're confident this school holiday flights will run more smoothly, although Qantas still has their jab mandate for passengers still in place. That should be noted as well. But we shall see if there's any of that sort of airport chaos. I mean, look at that. That will come to Australia in the next fortnight. Now, even though they couldn't get a boatload of, it's a plane load of illegal boat people to fly to Rwanda, the Home Secretary Priti Patel was able to sign off on the extradition of Australian journalist and WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange to the United States to face all those trumped up charges of spying, espionage, sedition, even though he's an Australian, and so he can't be accused of any so-called disloyalty to the United States. Now, the Albanese government, because Anthony Albanese, he said in opposition that he wanted to bring Assange home because this had gone on for too long. He's been in some form of custody, whether it be in the Ecuadorian embassy or in solitary confinement for the past 10 years. So this was in the Sunday 9 newspapers that the federal government is lobbying US counterparts behind the scenes to secure the freedom of Julian Assange. And so we shall see. I mean, the deep state, US deep state, has been after him for 10 years, and not even Donald Trump felt that he could get away with pardoning Julian Assange. and there was obviously, this was many years back. John Howard secured the eventual return and release of Australian terrorist David Hicks, but yet an Australian whose only crime is exposing secrets the US deep state didn't want revealed. He's been wasting away for 10 years, and it's good that in Australia that this is that there's MPs on both sides who want to free Julian Assange and bring him home. So Anthony Albanese, keeping with his election commitment. George Christensen, when he was an MP, travelled to the UK with independent Andrew Wilkie to see Julian Assange in custody. George Christensen, he was lobbying for Trump to pardon him. And Albanese is also being lobbied by his backbench to free Julian Assange and bring him home. Julian Hill, a Victorian Labor federal backbencher, he's a clown 99% of the time, but he's 100% right here. He tweeted last week, and you can see that I love these tweets. Appalling decision by UK Home Secretary to extradite Julian Assange, an Australian citizen of the USA. Manning, who leaked classified material exposing US war crimes, has been pardoned, yet Assange, who published it, a journalistic activity, is facing an effective death sentence. There can never be a legal solution to this case. It is inherently political. Political cases should never be the subject of extradition. We should speak up for our fellow Australian and request the charges be dropped and he not be extradited. Well, it's good to see a Victorian Labor federal MP advocating for the human rights and freedom of at least one Australian. And that brings me towards the back end of the show. Last night, the TV Week Logie Awards returned after a 3-year hiatus. They were cancelled completely in 2020 and 2021. There wasn't even a virtual ceremony with awards. There were just no awards given out for the past 3 years. They took place at Star. What is it? Star on the Gold Coast. It's moved from Crown from Melbourne, where it was originally for many years. Hamish Blake won the Gold Logie, but the red carpet winner was Richard Wilkins' son, Christian Wilkins, who wore this backless dress on the red carpet there. So there he is there. So because it's Richard Wilkins. He's been around forever. He's 68 years old now. So yep, that's his son's dress there. I guess if your father's been hanging around with all of these Hollywood types for 40 years, their influence is probably going to rub off on your son in that way there. So I will see you all tomorrow night for Trad Tasman Talk with Stephen Berry. We wish Dewey well, it's obviously he's been slower to recover than he would have liked, but we hope that he gets much well soon. So Stephen has moved, so he's just got his internet hooked up, so it'll be at the later time of 7:30 p.m. Melbourne time, which is 9:30 p.m. Auckland time, on the Unshackled and Mr. Berry YouTube channel. We'll cover a lot of the news that I didn't have time to cover tonight, including the Victorian Greens and extremism, and the $25 million Aboriginal flag on the Sydney Harbour Bridge, as the New South Wales budget is handed down tomorrow. So thank you, all of you, for watching. There is a super chat over on Entropy from Pete for $5 Australian. It says, "Hey Tim, can you do a video on maybe Odyssey or BitChute on the growing influence of the Anti-Defamation Commission, Australian equivalent of the ADL. Yes, I know that Davir Abramovich, he's the main championer of the swastika bans, which are currently being legislated all around Australia. Is probably probably the nation's biggest snowflake. I always give an update if there's anything to say about what Davir is triggered about at various times. Or Pete, yes, I just read it out. So thank you very much for that super chat, Pete. It's very much appreciated. So I'll see you all tomorrow night. There'll be no Wilms Front this Thursday evening. I don't know whether there'll be another Trad Tasman talk on Friday. Might do, because they've been very sporadic lately, because it's either been Stephen sick or moving, and now Duo sick. So might do, because there hasn't been one for 2 weeks now. Might have another one later in the week. And also my final message is leave Jordan De Goey and Bailey Smith alone. Good night, everybody.
Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.